Blog Talk Radio.
We welcome the night. Oasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host, Ian. Ian, are you there?
Not mentally.
No, things, oh boy. We have something special tonight. But yeah, we decided, the way a show's going now, we make plans whenever we want to, basically, nowadays, because, again, we had our marathons last year that really, it was fun, but, we used up a lot of time, and we're kind of running low on time, and we're just doing shows whenever we feel like it or when there's something big, and St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and I figured we might as well get a show in, because there is a movie out, which we're reviewing tonight, as you can tell, a little film called The Leprechaun's Game. And, of course, when I saw this, okay, Leprechaun Game, whatever, and I didn't pay any attention to it. Then I looked at who it was directed by, and good old Louisa Warren's back in our good graces again, Ian. And apparently quarantine did not hold her back from making a movie, because this is probably the cheapest. This is probably the cheapest film she's ever had to make. Jesus Christ. But yeah, we're reviewing The Leprechaun's Game from Louisa Warren, who, of course, if you don't know by now, she's pretty infamous between Ian and myself over this past year. We reviewed a lot of shit, and she's just one of those directors when you watch it, like, oh my God, I can't believe I've seen so many of her films. And you wouldn't know it, and then you realize, like, holy shit. But yeah, we make special arrangements sometimes, and apparently Louisa is that special arrangement now. Whenever she has something coming out, we have to review it. Good Lord. So, Ian, we have to delve into this thing, because I don't know how much I really want to talk about the film, but we kind of have to and go into detail and all the problems that this film really has going for it. So the film starts with two girls in a car in a parking garage, and they have, I'm just going to sight read this as much as I can, because I watched it earlier in the day, and it's one of those films that, it has a lot of problems, but I'm not going to go into every fucking detail, because there's no reason.
No.
So they have the Leprechaun's gold, and then the Leprechaun can magically teleport to exactly where you are in your exact location. I don't even know the fucking point of the Leprechaun, honestly, or what he is. We do that a lot. You don't exactly know the reasoning behind a certain thing. This one, he's not a small leprechaun, all right? I'll just say that. He's a normal, small, 5'6", 5'10", whatever man. He's a very small person. He's not a midget. All right, I'm just gonna say it out there. I don't know if he's not a little person anymore. He's a full-grown person. And so he has, he wants his gold back, and he goes after these two teenage girls, early 20s, whatever their age is, in the parking garage, and he has these powers that he uses, but then he doesn't use later on in the film, and it's just yin and yang for whatever he wants to do, because it just, whatever seems like a cool idea, let's do it. So he turns the one girl blind, right, and then he takes her soul. Like, her eyes go black, and then the other girl, I think he just kills her, right? He like, knocks her out and then takes her soul. And then he has his gold back. And then we're introduced, it's an opening scene to get everything situated, right? And then we're introduced to our main characters. And there's a lot of problems in that first scene, too, especially, like, when her eyes, like, oh, my God, I'm blind. And, like, when the Leprechaun comes in, it's kind of funny, because you're just like, because it's just like, this is stupid, And I was, like, kind of hoping that it would stay that way a little bit, but it doesn't. But it kind of, like, it needed to be that way just to make it a little bit more entertaining, because there's, like, so much shit in this film that doesn't need to be there. And we'll get into that a little bit later with some, like, some reshoots or something just to make the film longer. But, like, just like the scenes with the Leprechauns, it's dumb. Just seeing him walk up the steps, I mean, they don't tease it or anything. It's like, boom, it's like a slasher movie in a way. Like, it tries to be, Warwick Davis Leprechaun, but it kind of doesn't really do anything. And the Leprechaun doesn't even speak that well either. Like, you have my gold. And he doesn't, because the actor who's
like
playing it, I had to look it up. Say what?
I said it sounded like some parts when he was talking, I heard beeping. Like, it sounded like it was like a sound bite. Or at least that's what it sounded like on my end.
They could have recorded, ADR'd it or something, but of course, it's not an American actor. Well, he's not American or British. He was, I don't exactly know, but he's Asian descent who plays the Leprechaun. He also played Cupid. Remember that one, Ian? Remember that one from last year? Cupid, the Cupid in the high school. That was so stupid. It was kind of fun. Like, that's the one I was kind of hoping it was going for, but of course it's Louisa, so we can't really hope for anything, sadly. But yeah, he doesn't do no Irish accent or anything like that. He tries, but it's bad. But it was like, honestly, like probably the best parts of the movie was the Leprechaun, because it was just so stupid. So anyway, we got our main character, his name's Carl, and he used to work for this organization or this group that did things. You don't really know that much about it. Just know that he was in a special group of people who went on heists, I guess, or special missions. You don't know, because it's not explained. Just know that he has, like, moved on since then, but now he's back into the fold because his girlfriend, played by Louisa Warren, is pregnant, and he has to, he's in a slump right now, and he has to get money because he's about to raise a child. And so his friend, who I think his name was Marshall, I think, calls him like, hey, I got this gig from this guy who's this collector. And you can't make out anything on the conversation because they taped that conversation over a phone, over something else, because it's just so mumbled. I could not make a fucking thing out that was being said. It was just like that. It was like, what the fuck? You couldn't have made that any clearer. But apparently, again, I'm assuming this was filmed during lockdown, so you had to make it over an intercom, over a speakerphone, and then record it over something else to have it played over the phone in the film. So it was a mumbled mess. So they meet up with the collector, and he says, I'm a very special collector, and I collect sort of folklore stuff. I mean, he doesn't say this specifically, but like he has like Bigfoot's claw and Yeti fur, and now he wants Leprechaun's gold. So he hires Carl and Marshall and his group of people to go at the end of a rainbow and find gold. That's the fucking movie that we're watching here. Oh God.
Yeah.
So they're going to get $100,000 if they find the gold and bring it back. But if they don't, they get $1,000, right? Just for their time and effort. So they go to the woods, the forest, wherever the fuck they are, and they just walk around and wander for 10 minutes. Marshall finds the bag of gold. Like, hey, I found it, guys. I'm like, okay, it's better if we just keep it, right? Like, $100,000, whatever. We're just going to keep it. We can get $100,000 each, right? And so I guess they split the gold. I don't know. It seems to be the way they did that. And
yeah, it wasn't clear.
Then that's when things just start to go bad. Like, I'm up for it up until that point, and then things just are just like, I don't know what the idea was for this film. I mean, of course, it's classic. It's Warwick Davis Leprechaun or anything. Like, they took something now and have come back and get my gold. It's the same thing. It's been done before. And that's what this one goes with, but it just does it in the most unimaginative way possible. Because again, I'm assuming lockdown is a big component of why this film failed. Like, it can work, but it cannot work. And this is one of those where it feels, like I said earlier, cheap as fuck. This is one of those where it felt like they filmed it in the parking, in the room where they, like, rented for, like, the weekend to film this film, or wherever, because, like, they use the parking garage for parts of it, and then they use the church, which I'm assuming probably been right across the road from it. I don't know. It was just like whatever was available in the little vicinity where all the actors came just to film this project, because it was like hotel room, bedroom-esque apartment living, as cheap as possible, And so we have, again, the Leprechaun going after the people because he wants his gold back, but then he starts killing off characters that's like side characters to the people who actually took the gold. First, like, he takes out the one character, her name's Ruby, and he takes out her mother, right? And she's sick.
Yeah.
She didn't take the gold. And then, like, we have, like, before the mother, we have the one who's, like, it's the girlfriend or the wife or something, whatever. Like, we're going to be fine. We got a lot of money. And, like, he takes her out and then takes out the guy. And so he's taking out all, like, the central kid, not the central, but the side characters over the main characters who actually took the gold. And so there's so much wrong with this film. So he wants the gold back, right? And, like, I have to go to this scene because this is a fucked up scene. So he's like, you have my gold, and he's pushing the mother because she's sick. She has to have medicine and everything. And, like, no. And, like, she just looked at it. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he says, I don't like liars or something. And, like, kills her, of course. And, like, he contorts her. So, again, that power he has, magical powers, he just contorts her and squeezes, and just breaks her in half in a way. Sort of like that scene in the Suspiria remake where he just, like, contorts until they die. So that's what he kind of does with this one. There's another scene, I think, maybe actually in the Leprechaun movie where, like, he turns someone into, like, a small thing. Or maybe I'm thinking of Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know. But something where, like, he contorts somebody until they die and, like, snaps their neck. And so he goes over there to the table with the pile of gold and just gets one gold coin and walks away. So he's just going to leave the rest of his gold right there at just one coin. And it's like, how'd she get that much? It's like, I know it's her half.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But when they got the whole bag, it looked like that was the amount in the bag. So, and then there's, oh my God, so many problems. So, Ian, we'll go back into it here in a second. I have to get your opinion on this. There's just, like, so much I have to get out. So, they're splitting this money, right? Like, okay, so how? And then they have the Carl and Marshall, and like they have to get theirs appraised, right? So everyone else is spending theirs, but Marshall and Carl has to get theirs appraised, and then they're not getting enough, right? So they're going to get $30,000 instead of $100,000. And so, like, how are the other ones spending theirs? Are they going to like pawn shops and getting their money? How are they going about that? Because like, you can't just go out and spend things in gold coins, because that's the whole thing with like Ruby and her mother. Like, your medicine, you're going to be fine. You're going to be taken care of. Your medicine's going to be dealt with. And we're going to go out and we're going to have steak. Everything's going to be good. We came into a lot of money. And so they went out and spent gold coins at a restaurant in 2020, 2021, whatever year it is in this timeline, where gold coins is currency still. It's like, it just didn't make any sense. Like, spent it. And then the one guy, he actually spent his all too, because he's, when the long ass scene of him walking through the back of the yard, that just went on forever. And like, I spent it all. And like, how are these able to spend all theirs, but Carl and Marshall have to get theirs appraised and not even get the money?
Yeah, and they even brought up in the appraisal, well, if this is good for you, then we got connections of people that have more, and we'll sell it to you more. It's like, wait. I was sitting there thinking, like, I thought they were already spending their shit. Like, what? They don't have it. They already spent it. It's just them.
And then you have to take into effect that, again, they're going to get $100,000 total, right? And they're like hopefully getting $100,000 a piece, but it doesn't seem that way, because like if they went and took the money back to the collector, it would have been $10,000 each, right? I don't know exactly how many people there were. There could have been, but it could have been a good difference, Like, who's going to knock down? And of course, other people dying, that kind of makes the share a little bit easier, because they still didn't take it back to him the day of. They took it back like 2 days later. Again, I don't know, because there's so many day-night shots that I don't know exactly what it is in the time frame of the film, because there's scenes which we'll get into. There's so much stuff to get into, Ian, but. They could have got a decent amount of money if they took it back to the collector. Now, will they live after that? I don't know. But apparently it doesn't fucking matter. It didn't really matter.
Yeah, right?
Ian, I'm going to let you talk. There's so much shit we got to get into.
I mean, like I said earlier, like, every time he talked, the Leprechaun talked, it sounded, it could have been like you said, just like redone, because there was audio missing, and I was like, I thought that, like, especially like that one.
No, we'll get into that scene. That whole scene, I have a whole diatribe about. The whole scene with Ruby and the call from Marshall. That whole fucking 20-minute scene, I'm gonna go off on. So don't worry about it.
I just like, oh my god, and there's. I'm at a loss for words. This movie was the worst one yet. I honestly think that this is worse. And I like that they were watching the Scarecrow movie. They're like, I don't even know what's going on in this movie. There's a scarecrow and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, are you really paying homage to that monstrosity? I was like, that's great. But yeah, it's like, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, okay, so you all could get 100,000. The guy said he just wanted proof of gold. He never really said, I want every single piece of gold. He just says, I want proof. I was like, I would have just been like, hey, we went to the end of the rainbow, and this is all we found. This isn't worth $100K by itself. I would have made a big old thing and like, okay, let me get the $100K, and then I would have went and almost immediately and got it appraised, that gold appraised. But like, it's like, no, there's no certificate, blah blah blah. Like, you don't really need a certificate for gold. You can just be like, I found this shit. Finders keepers. Also, why would you risk your life for 100,000, or even possibly 1,000? Like 1,000 pounds That's not a lot of money. I was like, I don't think she realizes what money's worth. Because I was like, I wouldn't risk my, I could possibly not ever find this, but could get killed in the process. Okay, I'm going to need more than 1,000 pounds. Oh, but let's split it between our group. And I was like, that's dumb.
Yeah, why did they need to bring in the whole group? I know you needed people to get killed off, but it just seemed like, honestly, that wasn't a big mission. You know, it's not like, we're going to do this giant heist. You know, this is follow a rainbow and find the gold at the end of it. You need 8 to 9 people to do that. I mean, yeah, you get more distance covered. I understand that. But, Jesus, it's just like you're just wandering around the woods.
And then splitting that, the 1,000 each, so 2,000 pounds, split between everybody. And I was like, you just make 100. I was like, you're not even making $200 right there. Or 200 pounds. I was like, you're not even making money. It's just a waste of gas. At that point, I mean, 1,000 by yourself. I was like, this is stupid. This is a stupid premise. I was like, now if it was like, find the pot of gold for like 10 mil a piece, I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. And if you don't find it, you get $100K. Like, okay, that's worth it to me. But I was like, this is just dumb. I was like, I don't think anyone would risk their lives for that. That, and I was like, let me research Leprechaun. Oh, they'll kill you if you take their gold. Okay, well, let's just give it to the guy and see what happens. And then take it back. I don't know. Dumb.
Yeah.
Just dumb.
No, but there's, Jesus, I have to get into this while we still have time because it's a big diatribe I need to go into. So, we already said there's a lot of problems. All right. The first thing that I noticed, of course, was the cheapness of it. You know, I'm not gonna say that's an understatement because you're doing it, I'm assuming, under lockdown, under quarantine, and you still want to make something, right? You know, nothing wrong with that. You know, Godspeed. You make do with what you can, unless you're like fucking angry Asian murder hornets or 5G zombies, where it's just like, oh my god. Let's not get into Dustin Ferguson shit. So that's a totally another ballpark. So after the cheapness, I noticed the stock footage at the beginning of the movie, and then some of the cutaways, you know, establishing shots of the city of London. So I'm like, okay, so we're using stock footage and stock music, right? And then the call from Marshall to Carl, and have the radio playing to use for music because he couldn't edit music in later because it would, whatever. So they had to do that. And then let's get into the scene that's just, no, we have to go into the night. So they have like the day shots, right? And then like, hey, you know, like they're calling each other by phone, and it's day, and then the next scene, the same character, the same time frame, it's night, and then it's day, and then it's night, and then it's day, and then it's day, and then it's night. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. And this is the major one right here. So Ruby gets a call from Marshall. Marshall is telling her, hey, something's going down. I need you down here. We need, you know, we're getting everybody together. I need to talk. Her lines are not even in the film. The audio, something happened to where her lines are not delivered or spoken in the movie. So her mouth is moving, no words. And I was like, wait, what's happening? And I was laughing my ass off. Like, that can't be real. I mean, so that's another issue that I had to say for the cheapness, because he didn't even go back and fix that. And so it's day when, I'm assuming, I guess, I don't know. It's night when Marshall is calling her. So I'm assuming it's night, right? But then you would think the next scene would be Ruby going to talking with Marshall and the group. No, she goes to a church, and she starts talking to a lady cop. And the lady cop starts talking about how her friends, the two that's been attacked so far, are dead, and there's a lot of blood, and something's happened, and they're reading from a cue card in front of them, and he's like, I'm worried, just watch your back and stuff like that. And then you're like, where'd this lady cop come from, and what's this have to do with anything? Just to extend the scene of the, to reshoot or something. That's why I was thinking, like, this is a reshoot, or this is something just to make the film longer, because we'll get into it. And so, like, okay, well, now she's going to go. No, she goes to a tarot reader, and now we have this scene. It's day, clear as day, and he does this tarot reading. And so he says, you're in a bunch of trouble, and there's someone that's going to come after you, and so he's like going into the whole thing about the leprechaun. You need a 4-leaf clover. And she is scoffing this guy off. And like, what is wrong with you, lady? You went to the forest and found gold, and you're willing to believe gold, right? Like, at the end of a rainbow. This guy is telling you that there's a leprechaun whose gold you found at the end of a rainbow. And now you're scoffing him off like, oh, whatever, 4-leaf clover, you're crazy. So there's that whole scene where she's just staring off into the distance. Again, that's all she does in this movie is just stare off into the distance, even when she's on the computer watching Cool Dude or fucking give another speech about a stupid folkloric legend. So she does that, and then finally we get to the scene with Marshall and the gang. So there's that whole at least 10, 15 minutes of her going from the house or her apartment with her mother, the church, tarot reader, and then Marshall. So the police woman and the tarot reader was reshot or just added later because just to pad out the film. There's no reason for those two scenes and just to pad out the film, because I think the film was like right at like one. I think it was like, Ian, you just finished it. What was it at?
The movie, it's
like
80
like
minutes.
120? Yeah.
Yeah, it's 80 minutes.
I think it went off
So.
sooner than that. But there's that whole scene did not need to be there because when Marshall comes into play, he does the exact same speech that the police lady gave. Like, oh, they're dead. There's blood everywhere, So it's just like, what was the point in having the police lady? Why do we need her? What is Ruby our main character for half this film when she's not even the main character we're introduced to? It's Carl and his wife. But no, we need to follow Ruby around so she can look around in the grass at a church to find a 4-leaf clover. And then how the fuck did she get the pipe? How'd she get the pipe of the leprechaun?
I don't know.
When did that fall out?
There's
no inclination of her picking that up. She just has the damn thing.
Did they go out and buy one? Because that would have been hilarious. No, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, I don't know, did I miss something? Because I was making popcorn, and I felt like I didn't miss a whole lot when I was making popcorn. And I was like, I guess something had to have happened in between the 1 minute that I popcorned and went right back to it. So I don't know. I died laughing when they handed that to him, and I was like, I guess y'all aren't so bad. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Then again,
oh God.
It's just nothing. This film did not. I don't know. There's so much. That middle section though is a slog to get through. Though, you first get up and then, when the leprechaun is just again that whole scene with Ruby, the church with the police lady, the tarot reader, everything up for at least 30 minutes is just a slog to get through because it's just so boring. And then finally you get some interesting stuff happening with the leprechaun, and even that is kind of just lame because again he's going through there and he's like, the whole thing of gold on the table, and he only takes one piece of gold. He only takes 1 gold coin. Like, you're contradicting yourself, dude. You know, like, what? Didn't even make sense. And then, like, again, the whole thing, like, he needs a 4-leaf clover, and then he needs to shove it down his throat or something, and then so that's what they do. They put it in the pipe to smoke, and that's how they kill him. I mean, fucking spoilers. Who gives a rat's ass? But it doesn't matter because it comes back at the end, and the best fucking scene in the fucking movie, and that's that's how I love how they closed the fucking movie. That's the best fucking thing that I think Louisa has ever done, or ever anything committed to celluloid or film.
Funny.
It was just fucking phenomenal. That's the only thing I'm ever going to remember from this movie is just the Leprechaun coming down in one of those wall chairs that the old people use to come down the stairs. Just sitting there.
I always
and he comes down.
scenes.
It's like, I'm coming after you, and he's just coming down. You know, like you see in those fucking commercials for, I don't know what they're called anymore. But there's just like the mounted wall stair automatic chairs to go up the steps for old people, and just here he comes down. Oh my God! It was just like it took so long to start, and like you see a little thing move, like oh shit, and then here he comes down the stairs in that chair. Oh my God! I died. I literally died because it's just like that is the fucking greatest thing. Just like that's a cherry on top of a shit sundae. You know, it's like oh my God, you know. Because everything else about this movie was awful. You know, it wasn't good, all right? There was parts of it, you know, I was okay for, but they needed to keep that stupid factor up like they did with, like, Cupid. Like, there was just something about Cupid where, like, it was dumb, but there was just something about it, you know? Because it was just, like, so stupid. And this one, like, it's just, like, it slogged for a long time before anything really happened. And, again, nothing really happened. There's no interesting kills. Again, Louisa not using, you know, I mean, he has magic, but it's kind of underutilized, and he has, like, he collects souls. Again, like I said, he collects souls, and he has them in, like, a little Mentos box or something. I don't know. This little gold little pocket watch-looking thing that it carries souls in. I'm assuming that was supposed to be something bigger, but they couldn't find something like that in time. And I guess it was easier just to carry a little thing like that, little metal box. But my God, just like that fucking ending was just like, yeah, that's this movie in a nutshell. I mean, I wish I'm gonna have to go back in and like film that and try to make that a GIF or something because I want that so bad as a GIF because that's like the best thing ever.
It's that pipe scene killed me. Because you're just like, oh, I'm in the middle of killing you all, huh? Let me just smoke on this fucking pipe that's not even lit, and no smoke's coming out until I cough this, like, green smoke, and then I die, but don't die, but I do, and then everything's fine.
Again, she doesn't know how to handle, like, folklore that well. I mean, we've seen it done numerous times now where there's an idea there, she just doesn't know how to treat it with proper care. And it's just like again, quarantine and everything, but she's done this outside of quarantine with like Scarecrow's Revenge and Bride of Scarecrow and Mermaid's Curse and all of other films that we've reviewed on the show. And it's just like, again, I'll give her a little nod to Pagan Warrior because that one she kind of got right, you know, because like that's the only one so far that we think it's her best film that we've seen so far, and there's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. But this one might be second because of that Leprechaun and the chair setter. I mean that's up there.
I mean,
that's,
it's it's just like which pile of shit do you like better? And I mean. That's a little harsh, but I mean, it's kind of true though. Like, I mean, but I'm glad she's making movies. It's giving us good memories. It's just I find it funny every time. It's like, hey, it's like I wonder what. Honestly, I'm looking forward to what she puts out next. At this point, I'm just like, ooh,
she's filming it now. And what's the next holiday? When is the next
Oh,
one?
God, I hope
Easter?
she doesn't. Yeah, oh, God, if she does Easter. Oh, that would be terrible. Oh,
because
God.
this one just came out. So I'm assuming she could, because again, she made like 3 Scarecrow movies back to back not last year, but the year before. So like, or this year, I don't know exactly when they came out. She can do a lot of things back to back. And now that she's done this apartment setting and her everything, so I'm assuming, I don't know how you go about doing an Easter Bunny in an apartment, and like, well, there's a church, so she has the church, so she can do something. She has that church there to use, and the forest.
Yeah,
so she can find like an evil bunny egg in the forest, and then like find out like it's an Antichrist, and so they have like evil bunny Antichrist.
Also,
I'm giving her too many good ideas.
I like that she did pay homage to another. I just remembered the guy was talking about like all the stuff he had, and he talked about having Krampus's sack, and I was just like, how many movies are you going to reference of your own? I was like, we get it, you make movies, thank you, but I don't know, I kind of like the whole American Horror Story kind of thing going on. That they're all the same people, just about. Just every once in a while, throw a different character, switch them out. It's like, I kind of like that. I kind of like that little feel, because it's like, you know who you're going to get. And you're just like, ooh, I wonder what role they're going to play this time.
Yeah,
I
hated Peter wasn't there. I was waiting, I was thinking, is Peter the Leprechaun? You know, I was like, but it's like he doesn't have his big bushy beard underneath there, so it can't be Peter. So I was like, but then after that, it's like, found out who it was. I'm like, okay, it's not Peter. Sadly, no Peter. The film needed Peter.
Yeah. I think you just need a little Peter in your life.
A little Peter.
Oh God, but it's this. At least it was laughable.
It is part of that we're there because it was just like it seemed like a bad student film, you know, like it was like I don't mean that in like the bad way, because because of the low budget and the way it was so cheap and the effects were bad, and just like it was like the best you could do with the equipment that you have, because I'm assuming again you're not using the big stuff. I mean, it did look okay for what they were trying to do it, but it still had that. We're going to film in a hotel room and in a parking garage of the hotel room, and then probably the church across the street and the forest beside of it. You know, so it's just like all these places are just like very small area. You know, we're going to use the bathroom. We're going to use maybe someone else's apartment because it has a better view or something like that, or it has the window by the kitchen, or you know, it's just like I said, there's all these things. It's like, okay, we're going to do that, and they tried. But the whole fucking folklore of the Leprechaun just did not really make sense. Again, not the first time she's done that, but just like there's so much bad with like technical aspects. And again, lockdown, I understand that, and God bless her, she tried, but it just was not good. But she gave us one hell of a great ending. And I think that's that's enough to warrant, I'm probably going to stay tuned to your next film. So, because just like that ending, like it's dumb as fuck, but it's just like so great. And it's just like every now and then you get that one, you know, cherry on top of the shit sundae, and that's definitely it. And I hate to say that about her stuff, but honestly, I mean, she tries. I mean, I'll give her that, because she's very adamant when it comes to making films, as we can tell by her back-to-back Viking movies last year, or the year before. And it's just like she goes out there and she makes money, and she knows get made done fast and quick and get them on the store shelves at Walmart for $10. You know, Phase 4 puts them right out there, and no matter how shit it looks, apparently, and how many audio issues and missing dialogues, just oh my God. But Ian, what else? Is there anything else to say besides fucking Leprechaun coming down a fucking moto chair?
Not really. I mean, I do think this was probably one of the worst Leprechaun movies I've watched, though.
it's there. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to. I mean, for Leprechaun, if going Leprechaun or Gnomes, I mean, Gnome Alone was not very good.
I haven't seen them.
And that one tried to be a little stupid. Tried to be something that it didn't really achieve. With Vern Troyer playing the gnome. I mean, this one. I mean, there's not much I can remember from Gnome Alone besides Vern Troyer just like laughing hysterically. This one, I'm just gonna remember the technicalities of the film and that leprechaun in the chair, and that'll last me until the day I die. That leprechaun is gonna meet me coming down the gates of heaven. If I where the hell, I don't know. I'm just saying, it's gonna meet me coming down the steps in that chair, and he's gonna welcome me wherever I go, and like we're gonna go right back up the steps.
Or down them, whichever.
Yeah. And it's a spiral from here, son. We're going straight down.
Hell is actually Louise's movies, but you get to be in them.
We're in the netherworld. We're trying to escape.
That would, I don't know. Like we're shitting on her, but at the same time, like I'm actually kind of thankful for her movies because it did provide us a lot of, golden moments.
Yeah. There's
of
been
absurdity.
There's been some doozies that we've discussed. This is one of those where, like it's bad. Like there's no way around it. But this is one of those where, like, again, you can shit on it with, like me and Ian, like back and forth. There's like so much to take away, and you're just left with like, there's like a lot to give for this film for some odd reason. Like there's not much there, but it sure gives a lot. And I guess that's what one thing to take away from it is like it's going to give you a memory of a leprechaun in a chair coming down after you. That's about it. But it's just like it's there. It's a bad movie night, and it's definitely one of those that I mean it's so bad. I mean it's not like 8-ball bad. I mean that's like the echelon. That's like fucking S tier shit. The 8-ball clown.
Oh yeah.
And this is one of those a few levels below it. It's B or C tier shit. It's not. It's bad, but there's stuff to be had. Sort of fun to poke fun at, and all the problems and issues it has, and just some of the scenes that's just so absurd, and just like the continuity errors, and just like script. It's just like why is certain things there? It's just like there's so much to dissect, and like I'm sure we didn't hit all of it, but we hit like major things, and there's still like you can go through this and just like I mean we might be putting it a little high because we've seen a lot of Louise's work, and I think this is again it's I don't know if it's like Mermaid's Curse bad, but because like there's parts there like that was bad. Mermaid's Curse with Salem witch trials and the mermaids, like that one was pretty shitty. And so I would assume that one's a little bit lower. And then like I don't know, you have to get the Tooth Fairy and the Bride of Scarecrow and all the other stuff that she's done, and like Scarecrow's Revenge is sort of in the same, a little bit higher because it's done better. Again, we're gonna have to go through a whole fucking chart with Louisa Warren's horror films and just like go through it and like where do they all where do they all go on the list? Like one of these days, we might even have to do a back-to-back marathon of like all her other films that we haven't watched. I feel like they're good when they're spaced out because if we do things back-to-back, we're probably going to shoot ourselves at the end of it, and we don't want that because we want to see what that fucking Easter Rabbit movie coming out next month, or whenever.
Oh God. Whatever's next.
We got Easter. We might have no, they don't do President's Day over there. I'm trying to think of like all the other stupid things that she could make. But again, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Ian, it's great talking with you. I'm glad we got to do this. Not sure if we'll be doing one next week because, again, our time and schedules and with the hours we have. But nonetheless, it's always great. And I think we had fun after a little bit of a hiatus. And this definitely put the pep back in my step and probably yours after everything. As always, great talking with you. And And thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next time on Horror Night Oasis.
Good night.